Hello, sorry, camera's a little closer than usual. I'm going to do a video real quick here. Oh, okay, it won't be real quick, sorry. This one will take a little bit longer. Hopefully not crazy long. I'm going to do it on my homemaking binder. Last year I did one on my homeschool binder and went through that one, and I had at that point downsized and separated my homeschool stuff off from my homemaking binder or homemaking notebook, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, I'd separated the homeschool part of it off and had done a video just on that. But here recently, just about a week ago, I put these things back all in one. I just kind of felt like one was a little bit more simple than having two. Kind of gives me the extra arc disc stuff to use. But anyway, I'm going to re-angle the camera so you're not going to see my face through most of this video. Yay, you! And you're going to get to just look at my homemaking binder. Hopefully I don't have anything too personal that I haven't covered up, but I'm going to walk you through at least the few of the core pages, and hopefully maybe you will find it helpful. I think a binder like this is super helpful in organizing your day-to-day lists. If you're a list person, I'm totally a list person. I like making my lists. And before I had this binder, I had my lists all over the place, like in 13 different notebooks and loose leaf papers everywhere, and lists for calls I had to make, lists for other things, and it was just chaos. But there's a lot of important things I keep in here now, and some things I still need to, like I'm in the middle of updating some stuff, so. But I'm going to show you what I have, and hopefully this will be helpful to you. I know I really dig videos like this. This is kind of out of what I normally do, but since most of my stuff is in that Titus 2 homemaking, realm, it kind of fits too. So hopefully y'all find it useful. I'm going to cut this video and re-angle the camera. Hopefully you can see I'm working sideways here, which is a little awkward, but I'm doing it in this position so you have decent light, so hopefully this all works out. First off, I went through this last year, but the type of binders I've been using are arc discs. You can find them at Staples, where these little discs come off and then your pages can pop on and off so you can move things around. The reason I like this style is you can flip it and lay it completely flat around, which you cannot do with 3-ring binder. I love these. The particular leather I probably would not have bought, but it was given to me. So once I had that, buying replacement discs and pages and stuff like that was a lot easier. But you don't have to have this particular design and type. I just like it. It was from Staples, is the one who makes it, but I think the Happy Planner stuff that Hobby Lobby works with it, like their discs, and several others. I even bought a hole punch that punches these type of holes just because I like it so well, and the hole punch allows me to make my own things. So it was worth it to me because I'll be using it long term, and I don't really switch this stuff out much, so I really like having that. If you're interested, I'll link to that below if that's something you want to check out. You can probably get them cheaper in the Staples store, but look online and then look on Amazon, because I think those prices fluctuate back and forth. Some of that, like the hole punch, I did get much cheaper on Amazon. But anyway, that's just the arc disc stuff. If you dig this design, a 3-ring notebook works fine, or even just a plain notebook. You can do a lot in that. In my book here, okay, let me see if I can get framed up a little better. I'm sorry, I thought I had the camera angled, but there we go. I think we're okay now. I keep, and I warn you, my planner is not necessarily pretty as much as it is just a functional thing. I like pretty, don't get me wrong, I just haven't taken the time to make it as pretty as I like. In the front I have stickers and stuff like that shoved in for homeschool, an extra, just a simple little sticky note thing because I use those a lot. A little thing that kind of came with the binder. I don't use these a lot, they're a little too small for me, but since I had some, I leave a few in there. And this is my one attempt at pretty, as I had printed a background paper and I wrote like a homemaking mission of sort. I was just feeling creative and artsy one day and did that. In this pouch, this stays in a pouch in the front, I I always keep stamps, and there's some other special stickers. I keep a few loose checks, which I turned around because no one needs to see that on YouTube. But I always keep stamps and stuff that way. The few bills that we write out, we do it that way. My husband handles most of our finances anymore, and he does them online. But there's 2 or 3 things that we write out by check, and those he hands to me because he doesn't like his handwriting. So I do it when it's a check, and having that stuff in here is very useful to me. That way I always know where to grab it quickly. When you get these particular type of binders, you also get really heavy page separators, which I like. My first section comes to, I keep some loose menus in here, even though it's really not in the menu and food section. It's just where I had the extra folder to shove them in, but that's where I usually have for my 2-week menu plan. I sometimes will shove notes in, like this was about a year ago where I sat down and I called and got quotes. I think it was on tires or something like that for our cars, and I called a bunch of different places, and each place I wrote down all the info. And that's the kind of note that I would sit down and make and then lose it and then need it and can't find it. So I'll shove important notes like that in there. And I haven't thrown this away because if we have car problems come up, it kind of lets me look back at who all I called, what they said, and what their prices were in comparison, and then maybe give me a better starting point when I need to call around on something else. A lot of my pages are in page protectors for dry erase reasons, or just truly to protect. You can buy the page protectors with that kind of hole punch, and they're a little heavier than usual. This is just quotes that inspire that I wrote down a while back. This is the main probably heart of my planner. These are my, hopefully I don't have anything too personal in here. This is my weekly checklist of to do. This does not include all of the homeschool. This just includes, basically I made this in Excel, and I went through, and it's just my day-to-day tasks of things that I want to do, cleaning tasks that I've divided out. A lot of my divisions are kind of based on fly lady stuff for cleaning, but yeah, some of it not. But basically I just go through and I do my checks. I was printing this every day, and it just got to be too much to keep up with, and it was way too much waste of paper, so I encased it in dry erase, or in page protectors, so I could use dry erase. Actually, I have been using, I don't have them out, let me get them, hang on, sorry. Instead of using dry erase, I use these. They're like VIV or whatever markers. I guess I should link to these too. They're wet erase, which work a lot better for me, because the thing I don't like about using dry erase in a planner is stuff that you want to stay on there for a little while gets wiped off too easy. So if you use wet erase, then it stays on. You see, it doesn't wipe off so easy. Like I made a note there, I wanted to do the living room vacuum today and so forth. I'd forgot to type it in on my list, and I usually want to do that on Tuesday, because Tuesday is the day my husband goes down to work. And since he's not here, I wanted to make sure a thorough vacuum is done while he's not here, because I'm not disrupting him with the noise of the vacuum. But anyway, I wanted to write that in, but you can see how these markers don't erase that easily. But if you wet your finger, like I'm going to wet my finger there, see how it wipes off just like dry erase? Easy peasy. I like that really well. But anyway, design you a plan for your week. At least I think it's a good thing to do. And do your checklist. I like just having something I can check off. There for a while was writing out every task list that I wanted to do every day, and it just gets tedious and takes extra time. The part of me, I really like the sensation of handwriting, but I'll do that in other things like a journal rather than on task lists that just get thrown away. So I can cycle through these, and these by plan. Now, one of my check boxes is homeschool, that I get that done, but that has its own separate task list of things. That's how I've separated it out, and it works, because if I add all the homeschool individual things on here, then there's not enough room on the paper to do what I need to do all in one list. And I like having the 2-page design. It's a good space fit, works for me. And I even include some health things like toothbrushing reminders for me and the kids, and vitamins, and I mark off each person that's maybe had their vitamins and so forth, because I'm terrible at remembering that stuff, and that helps me to get little memory prompts to do it. I am truly a scatterbrained person without stuff like this, and if I manage my list and I go through my list each day, I will get so much more accomplished than if I don't. Because there's a lot of days when I admit I don't pull this out and I don't do it, and those are always days that I'm far less productive, far less. So this helps me a lot. Having a plan and a goal is a good thing. This is just another list that I made a few years ago. I don't really use it actively, but for some reason I want a simple list. I just use that one. This that was another task list a few years ago, and I kind of keep them in there in case I take a notion to use them. This is a written, I'm sorry, not written, an actual paper instead of being in page protectors. If I need task lists for some other option or something that comes up, like maybe some event that I need to plan several things for and I need to make a special one, then that's what this is in here for, and I do use those occasionally, and they're just like free printables online. This one was from Scattered Squirrel. That site has a lot of really, really good plain, simple printables. It is probably my favorite site to go to if I need plain calendars or plain checklists of any type. Awesome freebie site. Like here is one that I tried a while back. And this was a Scattered Squirrel printable too, and that's just basically a weekly. It looks like a full calendar, but it's not. It's just weekly. Like all your categories there for Monday, all for Tuesday, and that's what I was using when I was handwriting it out every day. But I just got tired of keeping up with all the printing and all the handwriting, all that out. It just took me longer, so I moved to the dry erase. These are just ARC pages right here. Let's see if I can get that. They're very heavy if you buy them. I don't advocate buying them though unless you just want a few really nice ones, just because that's expensive. It's far easier to print your own if you need that kind, and then just hole punch them. You know, frugal person here. The planner is nice to have, but certainly not necessary, and it can get expensive. I turned stuff upside down in this because this is where I keep our homeschool letter, and of course it's got a lot of private info on it, so I was blocking that off. But I think it's important to keep your homeschool letter handy if you're in a state where you have those. Just a generic attendance log. I'm not really required to keep that, but I've kind of been loosely keeping it. I don't always keep it perfectly though. This is a very important, I'm going to turn this so you can see it better since it's orientated differently. I showed this last year in my homeschool planner. This is the homeschool checklist, and it's since been altered. I'm sure I've changed it because I change it a few times a year when I need to adjust. But this is our general plan of the things that we need to tackle on each day. I've written in speech because we were doing it just one day a week, but I really feel like we need to do it more, so I wrote that in to tackle it a little bit more frequently with her, and then just each individual thing, because we try to, like with homeschool, touch on the main basic subjects each day, and then things like the true full history lesson, like Story of the World, we'll sit down and we'll do that on Wednesday afternoon, and then the really big long in-depth writing lesson for writing with ease, like I think Thursday we'll tackle that in the afternoon with him and so forth. But it helps doing some things kind of in a block. I know that Tuesday is all about spelling day, where we sit down and do a long in-depth spelling lesson, and then we'll do little light spelling on the other day. But anyway, we have a plan, and this helps me not forget. And like the things, I have things bolded versus different colors of things that must be done versus things I'd like to get done, or what have you. But anyway, I have my system, and that really helps. This printable was not a free one. It's not one I made. It was one I bought off of Etsy. I'd have to find a link to it if it's even still out there available, but it's been a useful one. I could have made that in Excel. I was a little lazy, and I think it was just a couple bucks, so I just got it at the time. That's where I was using paper versions of it, and again, I just moved away from printing so many of them and moved into regular doing dry erase or wet erase. In the homeschool section, I also have book lists. Hopefully you can see. I printed these from Plain and Not So Plain. That's the website of Amy Marion. Amy Marion's on YouTube, but she has her blog, which is the Plain and Not So Plain. I highly recommend her because she has not just book lists like this, but she's got quite a few things for free curriculum wise. They're very simple, they're very plain, but she wrote a lot of her own curriculum and she's got them free, literally free for download on her website. All you just gotta do is print them, or you could use the PDF, but that's a lot of good stuff. Now I can't use everything just because, again, my kids are dyslexic, so they have to use certain things, but I do use her cursive and I've read through a lot of her stuff on there. And used bits and pieces and picked up some good ideas, so I recommend that site. These book lists are helpful if I need to sit down like with the library and reserve some stuff. It gives me some stuff that I know I can do, and because she's a Christian and I've watched a lot of her videos, I know that these are also going to probably be clean and okay books too. That gives me some peace of mind there. This was just like a list of question prompts and stuff that I wanted in the teacher manual, because I'm not always the most creative person and I can't sometimes think of questions I need to ask. And this particular thing, I think this was speech prompts, because we were working on speech expression and so forth. Let's see, there was a checklist in here I had. This is actually, okay, this is probably going to be controversial. It's from the Mormons. No, I am not Mormon, but this is their list from where you can buy from them like bulk foods. I've never went there. I just had printed off and was looking at the prices to see, because there's one not real far from us where you can go in and buy some bulk foods from them and from their home storage center. And I weighed the idea of whether or not to go or not go. They're really big into prepping and food preservation and food storage, and that is something near and dear to my own heart. So I had been looking at the prices, and I kept this in here in case I ever took a notion to go and buy that stuff. I just haven't, as of yet, went there. Reasons. Anyway, my master menu list, I showed this recently on a menu planning video that I did. I use this just about every week, though I need to add to it, and goodness, I really need some new recipes. And we use very simple recipes. I can cook fancy meals, I just don't like to cook fancy meals all the time. I like more, my husband is a meat and potatoes and gravy kind of man, but I need some new stuff. If you've got some awesome recipes, I am totally open. Just keep them simple is all I ask. I like stuff that's simple and fast, and especially stuff that works good for freezing it, for cooking it later. I love crock pot meals. I don't have an Instant Pot as of yet. I know that's popular. Thought about getting one, but I haven't. But I could really use some good ideas. Tricky thing for me is where I'm keeping my stuff low carb, so a lot of times I have to alter my part versus the part that I'm feeding the rest of the family. But most recipes I can alter for that. But man, I just really need some new ones. I've used this list for a long time, and it needs some new life in it. It really does. But it's very, very useful, because when I need to go and do my menu plan, if you've seen that video, I pull this out and then that 2-week spread, and I sit and I plan my menus, and then I plan my grocery list, which is, vital. Now these other sections probably aren't as interesting. I have a health section, like where I was keeping blood glucose logs and stuff like that, and you can see from the dates I haven't kept those in a while. If I have checked it, I've not written it down, and I have checked it. I do check my blood sugar periodically, but not daily, because I'm extremely well controlled from the low carb and keto diet, so I don't have to watch it too close. I just periodically, if I feel a little funny, I'll check it, but I haven't kept a log of it in a while. The only time I really need to do that is like if I need to keep that to show a doctor or something like that. That was like planning. This section here was like collections of various things, just miscellaneous thoughts, things of that nature. That's a holiday gift tracker. I took out last year's. I haven't used this one yet at all. That's just if we have any ideas of, things that we need to get for birthdays or whatever, we can write them down in there. It's just a convenient thing. That was a weight loss thing. This has not been updated in quite a while. That was where I was trying to make a chart of goal weights and all that, but not current at all, so don't look at that. They're coming up as a bucket list. I'm going to hide that one because that's personal. Yeah, I have a bucket list. Thoughts on overeating and binge eating. I have not screened that. Hopefully nothing too personal in there. Probably. If I start blurring out pages on the on the video, you know why. There's a whole section for contacts. Very exciting, right? This is a section I pulled out because I'm in the middle of updating it. But I do want to explain what I have in here normally. I had handwritten out a lot of it, and I'm going to take it all and put it back into an Excel file. But basically, not just your addresses, like the people you may mail cards to and stuff like that, but what this is also for is your business contacts. An extremely helpful thing is having a list of your bills and all of the people that you do business with or you pay on a monthly or weekly basis or whatever, having all the contact, account information, and all that all on one list. Make a list of that and you will reference it 1,000 times over, because then you're not digging for your last electric bill or your last gas bill or whatever. And if you're like us, you don't even keep most of those anymore. You may keep the most recent one and then you pitch it after you pay it. But keep a list of all of that account contact info and every little piece of thing that you can think of, even like if you've got a PIN number or something like that. I know it's a little risky writing stuff down, but if you can't remember it, it's better than forgetting it. But keep a list of all your businessy contacts. You can make a list of maybe fast food places that you may call for delivery or something like that, and have them all, a list of all their numbers or whatever. In this day and age, most people keep that kind of stuff in their cell phone, but still yet a contact list of all the people that you pay, all your bills. That is just really, really helpful. And cell phones or not, I still reference that a lot. There's a section for brainstorming, and then just a section for smiles, like where pictures and stuff like that I had printed and that are in there. And then just another folder in the back. Kind of a funny thing. That's a business card from when my dad was alive many years ago. He'd tried to start a welding service because that was his main trade for a long time, was being a welder. And that business card, we recently down at my mom's house, we just went ahead and I put that in my binder. I just wanted to keep that. He's not with us anymore. He passed away last year, so I just see that and I smile and just think of my dad. All sorts of stuff. There's some papers like on dental insurance and stuff there that I need handy for if we need to go to the dentist. And then just in the very back here, some more to-do lists and stuff that I can just yank out if I need them. So all in all, that is my homemaking binder. There is so much you can do. I strongly recommend getting you a 3-ring binder or something like this and filling it up with just your things. I mean, your homemaking binder will probably look very different than mine. You will probably put different things in it. Many women, we're gonna get the camera back up here. Many women make their homemaking binder pretty, and they like doing that kind of like scrapbooking, but there's nothing, sorry for the camera motion, moving the tripod back, nothing at all wrong with doing that. I just haven't taken the time, and I like sometimes doing that. I just don't always take the time to fuss with that. My goal is to maybe make that a little prettier one day, but I just haven't done it as of yet. Practical is more important to me. So there's lots of things you can do. You can make it pretty, but you can tweak it to your own things. Maybe you're not a homeschooler, you probably won't need a homeschool section, but you might need a section for reminders of what to do or what events your kids may have coming up. Maybe their karate schedule if they're into something like that, or what have you. So make your binder your own, but keep a lot of your personal schedules, task lists, information that you need a reference really frequently. Rather than having it buried away in a drawer or a filing cabinet, sometimes it's a lot more helpful to have it in your homemaking binder. I think it's really important, just like if you have a job and maybe you have a personal planner with your job, homemaking, if you're a homemaker, then that is your job too. So treat it like that, manage it well. Get your homemaking lists out and your cleaning schedules, incorporate those in. I know personally a lot of stuff will not get done if I don't have it on the list, and even then it still may not. I'll be honest with you, I am not the world's best, and a lot of that's from low energy. I am feeling better as I eat better though, so that helps a lot. Like yesterday I got a good bit done. In the past 2 or 3 weeks I've gotten quite a lot more done as I've started to feel better and better and better again. So that helps tremendously. But again, if I'm not organized and having that in my brain, help my brain control it. Some people call lists their brain dump, so they don't have to keep it swirling in their brain of what do I have to remember, so they dump it onto the page. And that resonates with me because I am very scattered. I think it's funny that I use scattered squirrel printables a lot because I am a scattered squirrel. My husband teases me because I get really, really squirrel. Well, I'm very much that way. It's just my nature. Sorry. But with that nature, I need a planner or a homemaking binder, a homekeeping binder, homekeeping notebook. There's a lot of names for it, but I really, really like that. There's some people who break off into several major notebooks. I think one of my dear friends, I think she's got like a binder that's just for like all of her family, their sizes, their likes, their gift ideas, all of their measurements, because she sews. So each like the family binder may be its own binder, and then there's a gardening binder, and then there's a binder on maybe recipes. It's another binder I actually have. I do have a recipe binder of things that I've tried that I like, that are repeats, that maybe I do want to try, that's maybe I've printed out, and I'll usually write notes on them, and it's all in page protectors. That way if I got it out while I'm cooking and like flour and eggs are slopping all over the place, that they don't get ruined. There's a lot of handwritten notes in it and so forth, but that is a separate binder I have. So create binders for each of the topics for your homemaking and life that you need. Some may be a full binder of its own, like my menu or my recipes is its own binder. It's way too big to incorporate into here, but my homemaking binder really holds most of the other stuff. Maybe you want a sewing binder. There was a while I was running a section on here for sewing projects and stuff. Just really haven't needed much of that, though I do have tucked in one of the pages measurements of several people. Little things like that are useful depending on your hobbies. So you can incorporate your hobbies, your fun things, your schedules. You can have calendars. I don't think I showed in here that I do have a calendar in there, but I don't usually keep a very detailed one because I'm not a person with a bazillion appointments. If we have an appointment, I'm more than likely going to put that in the calendar on my phone, so I get electronic reminders for that, like dental appointments, things like that, because I'd forget otherwise. But I just usually have a little basic 1-year calendar printed in there. And that's useful because periodically you need to reference that. But the actual appointments, I find it easier to keep them on the phone. But all in all, hope that's been useful. I really, really enjoy videos of checking out other people's planners because I often get ideas that really help me with my own and help me put in important things that I maybe didn't think to track or think would be useful, and then you get a brilliant idea, or you maybe find other great printables and stuff like that. So again, I don't have the prettiest planner by any means, but hopefully maybe you got some good ideas or you just enjoyed the video. If not, I'm not sure why you watched this far, so have a blessed day, guys.